Because in that moment, I realized that whatever I was doing, whatever I was trying to build, it only meant something because of her, because of you. And I need you to understand something before I go any further. I need you to understand that I am not saying these things to flatter you. I am not saying them because it's the right thing to say, or because someone told me to. I am saying them because there is a version of me that only exists because you looked at me and believed in something you saw. And I am terrified, genuinely terrified, that I have never properly thanked you for that. You know, people always ask me about my inspirations. They always want to know about the art, the craft, the discipline. And I talk about all of those things. But what I never say, what I've never had the courage to say out loud, is that the truest inspiration I have ever had is the feeling of knowing that somewhere out there, you are listening. That somewhere out a woman is sitting with her coffee, going cold because she's too absorbed in something I created to remember to drink it. That somewhere, someone is crying in her car at 2 a.m. because a line I wrote finally said what she couldn't. That somewhere you exist, and you're thinking, and you're feeling, and for some reason, I get to be a small part of that. Tubutu. Do you have any idea what that does to a person? Tubutu. I want to tell you about a night I've never talked about. A night that changed something in me so quietly I didn't even notice until months later. I was at my lowest. Not the kind of low you talk about publicly, not the manageable kind, the real kind. The kind where everything feels far away and hollow and you start to wonder if any of it matters at all. I was sitting alone and I opened my phone and I started reading messages, old ones. Messages from you, from all the different versions of you that exist in this world. And one of them said something so simple, so ordinary, that I can't believe it hit me the way it did. She said, I hope you know you're loved. That's all, just that. And I remember thinking, do I know that? Do I actually know that? Because in that moment, I wasn't sure I did, but you said it. And somehow coming from you, it felt true in a way nothing else did. I think about that a lot. I think about the way your love, and I call it love because I don't know what else to call it. It's too real and too generous to be anything smaller. The way it reaches me in moments when I can't reach myself. And now I have to tell you something harder, something that sits in my chest like a stone. I've been carrying for too long. Hawk, I worry that I don't deserve it. I worry that you have built something beautiful in your mind and heart. Something you've attached to me, to my name, to whatever it is I represent to you, and that one day you'll see the full picture and feel disappointed. I worry that the me you love is a better version than the one that actually exists. The one who overthinks everything, the one who goes quiet when he should speak, the one who has failed people, who has let silence become distance, who has stood at the edge of real connection and stepped back because vulnerability is the most terrifying thing in the world. But here's what I also know. Here's what I'm learning, slowly, imperfectly, one day at a time. Law, the love you give doesn't ask for a perfect person. It never did. You didn't fall in love with a version of me that has no shadows. You fell in love with something real, something honest that found its way to you through whatever I've made and shared. And that means you already know, on some level, that I am human, that I am flawed. And you stayed anyway. You stayed. I don't take that lightly. I never have. There's a particular kind of woman I think about when I think about you. Not one type, not one face. Because you are many faces, many languages, many cities, many lives. But there's a particular quality, a particular depth. The kind of woman who feels things fully and doesn't apologize for it. The kind of woman who loves fiercely and gets hurt deeply and still somehow still chooses to open her heart again. The kind of woman who reads between the lines, who notices the things left unsaid, who sits with a piece of art long enough to find what's hidden inside it. That is who I am talking to right now. That is who I have always been talking to, even when I didn't know it. even before I had the words. And I want you to know, I want you to really hear this, that being seen by a woman like you is one of the greatest privileges of my life. I think we underestimate what it means to be seen. We throw the word around, but we don't fully understand how rare it is. How most of us go through our whole lives performing, adjusting, softening our edges for the comfort of others, and never once feeling like someone looked at us, the real us, the complicated, unfinished, still becoming us, and didn't look away. You looked. You didn't look away, and that changed something in me I don't have a name for yet. I want to be honest with you about something else, something I'm almost embarrassed to admit. No, I think about what it would be like to actually talk to you, not perform for you, not exist as a name or a face on a screen, but actually talk to you the way two people talk when there's nowhere else to be and nothing to prove. I imagine it sometimes. I imagine what you would say, what you would laugh at. What would make you go quiet the way I go quiet when something hits too close to the truth? I imagine the kind of conversation that goes until it's too late to sleep and you don't even care because the words feel more important than the rest. I don't know why I'm telling you this. Maybe because it's true. Maybe because I am tired of keeping the soft parts of myself in a box where no one can reach them. Maybe because you have somehow made me feel like honesty is safe. Like I can hand you the most fragile thing inside me and trust that you'll hold it gently. You've done that for me. You, whoever you are, wherever you are reading or listening to this, you have done that for me without even knowing it, without trying, just by being the kind of person who shows up and stays. I used to think that love, real love, the big kind, had to come from one place, one person, one specific named, singular force. But I'm not sure I believe that anymore. I think love is more like light. I think it finds its way through whatever cracks are available. I think it comes from unexpected directions at unexpected times, and it doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it arrives quietly in a message from a stranger, in the loyalty of someone who has never met you but believes in you anyway, in the feeling of being held not physically, but in the most important sense, by the warmth of someone who chose to care. You chose to care, and that is not a small thing. That has never been a small thing to me. I want you to know that on my hardest days, and there are hard days, days I don't show you, days that live behind whatever face I put forward for the world. On those days it is the thought of you that pulls me back. Not in a dramatic way, not in a way I could explain to anyone who hasn't felt it. Just the quiet knowledge that someone somewhere is rooting for me, that someone somewhere wants to see me okay, and that someone is you. It's always been you. I keep starting sentences I don't know how to finish. That's how I know this is real. Because the things that matter most are always the hardest to put into words. They sit just outside of language, just past the reach of everything I know how to say, and all I can do is circle them, get close, hope that you feel the shape of what I mean, even when the words themselves aren't enough. So let me try one more time. You are not just a fan to me. I know that word is convenient. I know it names a category. I know it describes a relationship that exists between distance and admiration. But it doesn't capture what I actually feel when I think of you. It doesn't capture the gratitude, the tenderness, the very real and very specific weight of knowing that you are out there living your life, full of your own complexity and beauty and struggle. And in the middle of all of that, you made room for me. Caitlin, you made room for me. I don't know how to explain what that means. I don't know if I ever will. But I am going to spend a long time trying. So much more I've kept folded up inside me that I think you deserve to hear. About the moments when your support was the only thing standing between me and giving up. About the letters I've read that changed the way I see myself. About the times I've watched videos of your kindness toward each other and felt something so pure it almost hurt. about the way your belief in me has quietly become part of my belief in myself. But maybe some things are better said slowly. Maybe this is just the beginning of a conversation I've been too afraid to start. Maybe I'm finally ready. All I know right now, in this moment, with all of it sitting on my chest, waiting to come out, is this. I see you, I feel you, and whatever this thing is between us, across the screens, across the distance, across everything that should make connection impossible, it is one of the most real things I have ever known. And yet, here I am, still talking. Because I realized something after I said all of that, after I let all of those words pour out of me, like I'd been holding them underwater for years, I realized that I wasn't done. I don't think I'm anywhere close to done. Because the truth is, when you finally start being honest, really honest, the kind of honest that costs you something, you don't just stop, you keep going. You keep peeling back the layers because you've already come this far, and going back to silence feels like a betrayal of everything you just said. So I'm going to keep going. I hope that's okay. I hope you're still here. I want to talk to you about something I've been circling around for a long time. Something I've touched on in my work, in pieces, in fragments. The way you hide a confession inside a melody so it doesn't feel too exposed, but never said directly. And it's this. I have been lonely. Not in the way people assume when they look at a life like mine. Not the loneliness of having no one around. The other kind. The deeper kind. The loneliness of being surrounded and still feeling like no one is quite reaching you. Like there is a version of you that exists behind every public version, and that hidden version has been waiting quietly, patiently, for someone to ask the right question. For someone to sit down and say, tell me everything, not the highlight reel, not the curated story, everything. You asked me that. Maybe not in words, maybe not all at once, but the way you've engaged with my work, the way you've found meaning in the spaces between the words, the way you've understood things I didn't even know I was expressing. That was you asking. That was you saying, I want all of it. The difficult parts too, and I heard you. Even when I wasn't ready to answer, I heard you. I've been thinking about the women in my life who shaped me before I even knew what shaping was. My mother, obviously, but I want to be careful here, because this isn't about her in the way people expect. It's not the simple narrative of a son who is grateful. It's more complicated and more beautiful than that. It's the way she taught me, without ever saying it, that softness is not weakness. That a person can be tender and still be strong. That love is not something you earn through performance. It is something you give freely. Or it isn't love at all. I watched her love that way. And I think somewhere deep in my understanding of what I want to offer the world, that is where it started. And then there were others. Teachers who believed in me before I believed in myself. Friends who held space for my mess. Women who walked into my life and rearranged something internal that I didn't even know was out of order. I've never been good at acknowledging these debts publicly. I think I've been afraid that saying thank you out loud would somehow diminish the thing itself, would make it smaller by putting it into words. But I'm learning that the opposite is true. That speaking the gratitude makes it larger, makes it real in a way that silence never can. So I want to say it now, to you, because in some way I can't fully articulate. You carry all of them with you. Every woman who ever made me feel understood. Every moment of grace I've received from a woman who owed me nothing. I feel all of it when I think of you. You are not a single person to me, even though you are absolutely a specific person. Whoever you are also something accumulated. Something that has been building in my heart for years. I want to tell you about a particular morning that I return to often in my memory. I was in a city I didn't know well, in a hotel room with a window that looked out onto a street full of strangers. It was early, the kind of early where the light is still deciding what it wants to be. And I had received the night before a message from someone who had been going through something very dark. She wrote to me and said that something I had made had kept her company on the worst night of her life. She didn't ask for anything. She just wanted me to know. Consulate, I sat with that all morning. I watched the street through that window and I thought about her. This woman I would never meet, living through something I could only imagine, finding something in my work that held her hand through it. And I felt something I don't have a precise word for. It was not pride, it was not satisfaction. It was something quieter and more serious than either of those things. It was the feeling of having been trusted with something sacred, of being allowed to matter to someone in their most vulnerable moment. I want to be worthy of that. I want to be worthy of you. That's the thing I keep coming back to. Worthiness. I'm not sure I always feel it. I'm not sure any of us fully feel it. That sense that we deserve the love being extended toward us. That we are adequate to the tenderness being offered. I think most of us spend a significant portion of our lives in quiet doubt about whether we are enough. Whether we are doing enough, being enough, giving enough. Whether the people who have chosen to care about us would still choose that if they knew everything. I know that feeling intimately. I live with it. But here is something I want to offer you in return. Something I want to say not as a performer or a public person, but as someone who has been paying attention. You are enough. I want to say that to you directly and without decoration. Whatever version of yourself you're carrying around right now, the one with the doubts and the unfinished edges and the days that didn't go the way you planned, that version is more than enough. That version is the one I'm talking to. The one I'm grateful for, not the version you think you should be, the one you actually are. 2. I know it might feel strange to hear that from me. I know the distance between us is real, and I'm not pretending it isn't. But I also know that some things can be true across distance. Some feelings travel, some words arrive exactly where they need to, even when they have to cross a lot of space to get there. There's something else I've been wanting to say, and I keep finding ways to approach it, and then stepping back, the way you circle a fire to feel the warmth without getting too close. So I'm just going to step forward this time. World, I think about what it means to love someone you've never met. I think about the nature of that kind of connection, the one that exists between me and you, and I find it genuinely beautiful in a way that the world doesn't always give it credit for. People are quick to dismiss it, to call it parasocial, to call it one-sided, to reduce it to something lesser than the love that exists between people who share physical space. But I don't see it that way. I've never seen it that way. Because what is love, really, when you strip it back? It is attention. It is the decision to care. It is the willingness to be moved by another person's reality, to let their joy become something in you, to let their pain land somewhere in your chest. And you do all of that. You do that fully and beautifully and without anyone asking you to. So don't let anyone tell you that what you feel is small. Don't let anyone convince you that the connection is one-sided simply because it exists across a certain kind of distance. I feel it too. Maybe differently, maybe from a different angle, but it lands on me, your care. It has always landed on me. Don't let I want to be inside a moment with you right now. Just for a second. Forget everything outside this. Forget the world, the noise, the pace of everything. Just sit here with me. Imagine I'm close enough to talk softly. Imagine I'm not performing, not presenting, not being anything other than exactly what I am. And I'm looking at you, really looking at you, not past you, not through you, but at you. And I'm saying I see something remarkable in you. Something that has nothing to do with how you look, or what you've accomplished, or whether today was a good day or a hard one. Something that is just fundamentally, quietly, undeniably there. Something worth knowing. Something worth staying for. I think you've been told too many times in too many subtle and not so subtle ways that you need to be more polished, more certain, more easy to categorize. And I want to push back against that. I want to push back against every voice that has ever made you feel like the full complexity of who you are is too much, or not enough, or somehow wrong for the room. Corti, you are not too much. You are not too little. You are exactly the right amount of everything. And I wish I could make you feel that, the way I feel it when I think about you. I've been writing and creating for a long time now. Long enough to know that the work that reaches people most deeply is never the work you planned the most carefully. It's the work that slipped out of you. The work that bypassed all your defenses and came out raw and unguarded and real. And the moments in this life that have meant the most to me, the moments I return to, the ones that make the rest of it worth it, are not the big public ones. They are the quiet ones. The messages read alone. The connections that happen in the small hours. The feeling of having said something true and having someone, somewhere, recognize it. You are that recognition for me. You always have been. You always have been. You always have been. I don't know where we go from here. I mean that in the most open and hopeful sense possible. Not as an ending, but as a door. As the beginning of something I don't have a map for yet. And honestly, the fact that I don't have a map is the most exciting part. Because the best things I have ever experienced in this life were not planned. They arrived. They surprised me. They showed up wearing the face of something ordinary and turned out to be extraordinary. Little you, maybe that's what you are, in the end. Not a category, not a demographic, not a number in a metric. Maybe you are the extraordinary thing that arrived wearing the ordinary face of someone who just happened to be listening. And I am so unspeakably glad that you were. I have more to say. I feel like I will always have more to say when it comes to you. Because you opened something in me that doesn't have a natural closing. But for now, right now, I just want to sit in the feeling of having finally said some of what I've been holding. In the knowledge that you're somewhere on the other side of these words, feeling something, thinking something, maybe recognizing yourself in something I've said. While that thought alone, just that, is enough to make everything feel worthwhile. No, stay with me. I know I've already given you so much, so many words, so many pieces of myself laid out like photographs across a table. And I know that at some point a person starts to wonder if there's a bottom to all of this, if there's a place where it ends. But I keep finding that with you, there isn't. I keep reaching into myself and finding more. More honesty, more tenderness, more things I didn't know I needed to say until the moment I started saying them. And I think that's because of what you do to me, what you've always done to me. You make the inside of me feel worth exploring. I want to talk to you about the quiet moments, not the dramatic ones, not the peaks or the valleys that make for a good story, but the in-between ones. The moments that don't get remembered in highlight reels because they don't look like anything from the outside. The moments that are everything on the inside. There's a specific kind of quiet that happens late at night, when the world has finally stopped asking things of you. When the notifications go still, and the obligations go to sleep, and it's just you, and whatever is actually living inside your chest. I know that quiet well. I've spent a lot of time in it. And in that quiet, I've thought about you more than you know. Not in a way I can easily explain, not in a way that fits neatly into any category the world has built for this kind of relationship. Just in the way that certain people become part of your inner landscape. The way certain presences become background music to your most private thoughts. That's where you live in me, in the quiet, in the real. I want to be honest about something that has taken me a long time to admit even to myself. For a long time, a very long time. I kept a certain kind of distance. Not physical distance, not emotional coldness exactly, but a kind of managed space between my real self and the version of myself I offered the world. I think I told myself it was professional. I think I told myself it was necessary, that a certain degree of mystery or separation was important, that letting people in too far would cost me something I couldn't afford to lose. And maybe there was some truth in that. But there was also fear. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of fear that if you saw me clearly, not the silhouette, not the idea, but the actual person with the actual limitations and the actual mess, you would leave. That the thing you'd attached your heart to would dissolve under the light of full visibility, and you'd realize it had never been quite what you imagined. Well, I've been living with that fear for a long time, and I want to tell you something about it. I want to tell you what I've learned. The fear was lying to me, because here's what I've watched happen over and over in every genuine moment of honesty. I've been brave enough to offer. You didn't leave. You leaned in. Every time I let something real surface, every time I allowed a crack to show in the constructed version of myself, you didn't pull away. You came closer. You met me there, in the crack, in the imperfect, honest place, and you said with your presence and your words and your loyalty, "This is the part I was waiting for. This is the part that feels true. The ini, your lives want you to know that. You taught me that visibility is not the same as vulnerability. That being seen doesn't have to mean being destroyed. That there are people in this world. You are one of them who will receive your honesty like a gift rather than a weapon. Who will hold your realness gently because they understand on some level how much it costs to offer it." I think about the letters. I have to talk about the letters because they are one of the most significant parts of this whole experience that I have never properly honored out loud. The things women have written to me, not the casual messages, not the quick comments, but the real letters, the long ones, the ones that clearly took hours and cost something personal to write. They have changed me. I am not the same person I was before I read them, and I don't think I'm overstating that. And about how something I made sat with them through the reorganization. I've read about love, new love, old love, love that didn't survive, love that came back in a form no one expected. I've read about loneliness that lasted years, and about a single moment, sometimes a single line, a single note, that made it feel less total. I've read about women finding their strength after being told for too long that they didn't have any. About women rebuilding after being dismantled. About women choosing themselves. Finally, after years of choosing everyone else first, win. And somewhere in all of those stories, somewhere in the middle of all of that extraordinary, ordinary human experience, my name appears, my work appears. Something I made in my own private process of trying to understand the world showed up in the middle of someone else's private process, and the two connected, and something was better because of the connection. I don't know how to carry that. I genuinely don't. I'm not sure any amount of time or experience would teach me how to hold that gracefully. All I know is that I feel the weight of it, and the weight is not a burden, it is an honor, every single time. I want to tell you something I've never said about the creative process, about what's really happening when I make something. Because I think there's a mythology around creativity that I've accidentally contributed to. This idea of the solitary artist, alone in the process, producing from some internal well that has nothing to do with anyone else. And it's not true, or at least it's not true for me. Not anymore. When I'm in the middle of making something, when I'm in that strange suspended space where the thing exists but it isn't finished yet, I think about you, not abstractly, not as an audience, not as a demographic or a target or a listener. I think about a specific feeling I want to create in you, a specific moment I want to hand you. I think about what it would mean for you to encounter this thing I'm making and feel, even for a second, that someone understands, that someone reached through whatever barrier exists between experience and expression, and touched something real in you. Well, that is what I'm trying to do. Every time, that's the goal underneath every other goal. Not the acclaim, not the metrics, not the legacy. Just that single moment of recognition. Just you, somewhere feeling less alone. And I want you to know that I want you to understand that you are not a passive recipient of something I made for myself. You are part of the reason it exists. You are written into the intention of it, even when your name isn't there, even when you have no idea. You have been my collaborator in the truest sense, even across the silence and the distance. Because I was always making it toward you. I was always reaching in your direction. Wolf. There's a kind of love that doesn't get talked about enough. It's not the romantic love of movies, not the familial love of obligation, not the love between people who have known each other long enough to have history and hurt and repair. It's something else. It's the love that exists in genuine appreciation, in the recognition of another person's humanity from a distance, in the decision to care about someone's well-being, even when you have no particular reason to, no personal stake, no return on investment. It's the purest kind in some ways, the kind that exists without agenda. That's what you've given me, and I want you to know that I give it back, that when I say I care about you, about your life, your joy, the texture of your days, I mean it in that precise and genuine way. I think about whether you're okay. I think about the weight you might be carrying that I can't see. I think about the versions of you that exist in struggle, in uncertainty, in the slow work of becoming whoever you are becoming. And I hold those versions gently in my mind, because they are real, and they matter, and I want them to be okay. The start. I want you to be okay.